Hey buddy, watch this.
Hello, Regis Kilbin is the name, and Hearthstone is the game, and these are the 10 most loved cards in Hearthstone. Now, you might be wondering how on earth someone could determine such a criteria. These aren't just my 10 most loved cards. These are actually the community's 10 most loved cards. And I actually used science to do it. I recently held a giveaway on my channel, in which I asked people for their favorite Hearthstone cards and their least favorite Hearthstone cards. I then took about 1,400 responses, which was insane, by the way, and gathered all that data and broke it down and picked out the 10 cards that were mentioned the most as people's favorite Hearthstone cards. And although that's specifically just the community that comments on my videos and follows me here on YouTube, that's enough data, that's a large enough sample size that I can pretty confidently extrapolate that to the larger Hearthstone community. So I have a feeling that as of the publication of this video, these really are the 10 most loved Hearthstone cards. Now, I should note that there are a ton of responses that didn't make this list simply because there are so many different cards and so many different opinions. Only about 30% of total responses are accounted for on this list, so 70% out there were so small and just, people picking one of random cards or just weren't enough to make the top 10. So these really are the cream of the crop. So you might not find your favorite card on this list. Don't be alarmed. These are the cards that truly stand out. So without any further delay, let's just go ahead and jump into this list and see the 10 most loved cards in the game. Starting off with number 10, it is Sylvanas, a Windrunner. Although she might be leaving us for Wild in the very near future, people still love this card. Sylvanas got 2.84% of the vote. Now, I know that doesn't mean a lot in a vacuum, but you're going to see that number for each of these following cards, so you can see kind of just how popular it was. And here's a couple things people had to say about Sylvanas. My favorite card is the Bay Sylvanas because she's low-key overpowered, and I'm so sad she's going to Wild. I couldn't agree more. My favorite is Sylvanas Windrunner. I truly had great times with her. I'm not sure what that means, but that sounds pretty fun. So moving on to number 9, this one actually surprised me. I thought everybody hated Patches the Pirate, much like I do. This card probably isn't going to be quite as prominent since the small-time Buccaneer nerfs rolled through Hearthstone pretty recently, but he still received 2.97% of the vote. And here's what some people had to say. Patches, because I am a scrub and play Pirate Warrior. Yes, you are a scrub, sorry to say. And then my favorite card is Patches the Pirate, and my least favorite card is Reno Jackson. I think you can see a pretty clear dichotomy there. That guy is clearly an aggro player who loves Patches but hates the turn 6 Renos. Now let's move on to number 8. It's another charge card, but this time it's Leroy Jenkins with 3.16% of the vote. My favorite is Leroy Jenkins, just because I like to yell Leroy Jenkins every time I play him. And then another comment summed it up pretty clearly with the very well-written Leroy Jenkins. I'm not going to do it, guys. I hate doing the Leroy voice. But yeah, number 8. Not too surprising because this card does win a lot of games. Up next at number 7 is Kazakis, the new tri-class card for me in Streets of Gadgetzan with 3.26% of the vote. My absolute favorite card has to be Kazakis. His battle cry adds so much versatility and mystery to the game that requires quite a bit of skill to properly play and deal with. And I totally agree. That's exactly why I like Kazakis so much, is because it gives you so much control and influence over the turn, and it's such a big and powerful turn when it happens if you pick the right potion that it really does reward skillful play. Moving on to the number 6 spot, it's Tyrion Fordring. I'd say this is an old school favorite for a lot of people. He had 3.47% of the vote. My favorite card is Tyrion Fordring because it has an insane entrance theme. Despite Paladin not being viable on ladder nowadays, this card is still the best in terms of value. 8 mana, 6/6 taunt with Divine Shield, and an Ashbringer. And that's absolutely right. Tyrion Fordring, I would still venture, is probably the best downright raw card in Hearthstone as far as the amount of power bundled into a single card is concerned. He's certainly susceptible to silence and polymorph effects and so on, but he's still a card that it feels so rewarding to play when he sticks and when it works. It's just there's so much value bundled in there that it makes Paladin a rewarding class to play when it's otherwise often not all that rewarding. And now we've made it to the top 5. At number 5 is Yogg Saron, Hope's End, the craziest card in Hearthstone still to this day. He rolled in with 3.7% of the vote. And things people had to say included, my favorite card is Yogg because it can solve games in one turn or lose you games in one turn. That's absolutely right. Someone else says, my favorite card is Yogg Saron because it's just too funny to cast 10 random spells in one turn. And I say, why stop there? Why not cast 29 random spells in one turn if you're having fun and if Yogg Saron is feeling capable? This card actually would have probably topped my own personal list before it got nerfed, even though it was frustrating to play against. It was just so much fun and so crazy and so good for content creators like me because of all the highlights that it created. Post-nerf, you don't really see it quite as often, so I'm a little saddened by that. But it is still a really fun, chaotic, interesting, neat design of a card, and I'm not surprised to see it so high on the list. Moving on to the number 4 spot, it's actually another old god, but this time it's N'Zoth the Corruptor with 4.1% of the vote. My favorite card is N'Zoth. Since every deck you play, you have to think about your plays because it could be game-changing, and I love when Tyrion and Sylvanas pops out from nowhere and the opponent presses the concede button, smiley face. You know, that is one of the most rewarding parts of N'Zoth, is that when you pull off that big N'Zoth turn and you force that concede, it guarantees a huge smile on your face. And it's not surprising that N'Zoth is so much fun when he summons 2 of the other top 10 cards on this list with Tyrion and Sylvanas, as he can often do, if you include him in Paladin, but certainly that's not the only place that N'Zoth can get value. So it's pretty clear that the old gods were rather popular among folks, since we have 2 of them here in the top 5. But now it's time for the top 3, starting off with Lord Jaraxxus with 4.42% of the vote. My fave card is Lord Jaraxxus. The whole replace your hero with another one, taking some extra risks for a lot of value, made me really like it. And it's also a mechanic I've never seen in any other card game. I really couldn't agree more. Lord Jaraxxus is one of the craziest things in Hearthstone. There's so much insane value packed into this card, and I think it's a really healthy and fun addition to the game. We're going to be rich. Number 2 is Reno Jackson with 5.5% of the vote. This one really does not surprise me, just because Reno Jackson is perceived as such a perfect answer to aggressive style play, and people who like the control style of play, that control archetype, see this card is really one of the only tools to enable the way they like to play Hearthstone. So I'm sure a lot of people have fond feelings attached to old Reno Jackson. He had 5.05% of the vote. My favorite card is Reno Jackson. I just love to play him when I'm on 5 HP and see all these pirate warriors concede, smiley face. So whoever left the comment on the 9th spot there about patches and hating Reno, this guy is the exact opposite. He likes Reno to shut down all the patches, the pirates, and so many of us do for that very same reason. Reno Jackson, we love you, and we're certainly going to miss you when you roll into Wild format. Speaking of beloved cards, we're losing to Wild format. Our number 1 spot belongs to Ragnaros, the Fire Lord, with 13.8% of the vote. I want to put that in perspective for you guys. That's far and away higher than all of the previous entries. In fact, that's actually more than the last 3 on the list, spots 2, 3, and 4 combined. So Rag is incredibly popular among the community, stood out far and away above the rest as the single most popular card. My favorite card, Ragnaros. I love the tension at the end of the turn. I completely agree. I think Ragnaros in many ways sort of sums up the experience of Hearthstone. It's a big, powerful card. It's iconic from the Warcraft lore. It's tons of fun to play. It has a lot of RNG involved, so it can create lots of highlights and crazy fun moments. It's all bundled into one card more than anything else. I think this card is more representative of Hearthstone than just about anything else, and it's a fun experience. It's often one of the first legendary cards that people craft. There's no other card that really belongs on the top of this list as far as I'm concerned than Ragnaros the Fire Lord, so I'm glad to see that the community certainly agrees with that aspect. But I really like this next one, this next quote from the community. Favorite card is Rag, because he is my favorite card. What more can you say than that? So I know you guys might be wondering what my personal favorite card in Hearthstone is, and I think that honor, at least today, because it does change pretty often, has to go to Lord Jaraxxus. I just have a lot of fond memories of this card. The first time I ever saw it played, I couldn't believe it was a real thing when my opponent transformed into a demon, had this crazy weapon, was able to summon 6/6 minions for only 2 mana. I thought, how can this be real? This can't be fair. This guy has hacked the game. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Well, since that day, I've come to love Lord Jaraxxus myself and play him a ton because I love control-style Warlock decks like Handlock of old and certainly Reno Lock of today. So I've gotten a lot of joy out of Jaraxxus. He has the best emotes in the game. He's just tons of fun. He's a fantastic card to add to your collection if you ever want to play Warlock. There's just tons to love about this guy. So much fun and enjoyment and raw power bundled into a single card that you can't go wrong with Lord Jaraxxus. So that wraps it up for the list. Normally I'd say you guys think I got this all wrong and that my ideas were crazy and that I got the order incorrect. But this was your order, so I'm curious to hear what you guys think. I bet you're surprised to see patches on the list at all, most of you. But leave a comment below if you didn't get a chance to comment in my giveaway with your favorite card. Feel free to share that. I'd be happy to see some more data and see all the weird, crazy cards out there that you guys love so much. But thank you so much for watching, and until next time, game on.